Hey folks, welcome back to the Metal Mill 52 workshop. My name is Bill. This is my shop, and it is freezing cold out here, so I'm not going to spend very long on this week's introduction. I was hoping to be a lot farther along, but we had some unexpectedly Arctic conditions with snow, which we hardly ever get in this part of the world on the central Gulf Coast of the United States, and it's been something else. We got about 8 inches of snow, which is a record for our area. Anyway, we're building a Raritan riding car or flat car, and that's what the hardback book looks like. This is what the spiral bound book that you get from Joe Tansky looks like. And in this week's episode, you'll see a lot of the work that gets to this point with the trucks. And, you know, it came along really good. There was a couple of interesting lessons that I learned. The one thing I've done, I wanted to point this out, because I didn't have the opportunity to come out here into the workshop all this week. I did spend a lot of time going through the drawings and then making up little procedures for myself for all the stuff that I actually wish I was making. And these are the things that hopefully will be in next week's episode. The hangers that hold the brake shoes, I kind of made a step-by-step drawing for that. Then the levers, there's a shorter one and a longer one that actuate the brakes. Then there's the brake lever bracket. I need to make 2 of those out of some 1/4-inch thick steel, which I'm glad I had a chance to double check this, because I was thinking it should have been made out of 5/16 inch, but it's not. It's 1/4-inch that I mill this part down to 3/16. So made the drawing for that, and then I made a little priority list for drilling the holes in the side frames for the bearings and the axles to go into. Then the brake bar, that's interesting design in of itself, that gets the clevis, the specially made clevises, silver soldered to it, along with little supporting arms. So I sketched that out, and then I sketched out all the other clevises that I need to make. This will be a fun day making clevises when I get some warmer weather. Brass pins to make, and the bearing shields, and that's a lot of the small parts that need to get made to start really getting the assembly together. All that basically would leave is the wheels, the axles, and then the brakes themselves, the brake shoes themselves. So that's a sneak preview of things to come, but I hope you enjoy this week's episode. It's kind of, as I said, not as far gone as I would really like, but you know, hopefully it's interesting to you. Please ask any questions that you might have. Give me a thumbs up if you don't have questions, but you'd like to encourage me. I do appreciate it, and I will look forward to providing the next update to you. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Hey, welcome back. Now I've got Russ's camera set up on the little tripod. I thought I'd show you some of the parts that I've already worked on a little bit. Let me see if I can tilt the camera down. You can see the whole shooting match a lot easier. Here we go. Alright. There we are. Alright, so we have the side castings. These are arch bar style, and these I've basically worked on. I used a little Dremel and a sanding disc just to kind of clean out some of the rough flash. And the other side, I don't know if you can, these are, by contrast, I haven't done anything to these at all. So you can see, I don't know if you can see the difference. There's inside, they're a little cleaner and a little bit more widened out. Basically, these are the ones I've worked on. You can see right here, inside there, about half of the space, I removed the flash and kind of flattened it out to accept the bolsters. So that's one example. Here is the top bolster that it's not quite finished yet, but I've worked on it with the file. The most obvious part is this part right here, and that's the part that sits inside the side frames. Let me show you. It's not completely done yet because this needs to be able to rest vertical, but it fits in there nicely, and you want a little bit of movement like this. So I'll still work on this a little bit more. Matter of fact, I just bought a very small but coarse file that should work perfectly for that. So here's the bolster fitting into the other side. that one. This fits. That's almost exactly like it's supposed to be. I probably need to remove a little bit more material here so it can ride straight up and down, if you follow me. And these are the bolsters that will be on top. And it really isn't very visible at all. Now, it's funny, when I was working on these the other day, I thought I had removed a lot of material, and I kind of have. I mean, a lot of them I took off like 30 thou or so on either side. But let me just show you by contrast. This one I haven't worked on at all yet. Let's see if you can see. Yeah, you can see with the ones that I have worked on, the upper one here, I've removed the flash and flattened the area out, straightened it, and flattened it. When I say the area, I mean the periphery of these tabs, because these are the tabs right here that I'm going to have to drill holes into that will mount the levers that will hold the brakes. And so having this dimension is critical, because you want the brakes to ride right where the locomotive wheels are. Or excuse me, the locomotive wheels, the riding car wheels. So having that dimension accurate is important. So that's what I've done so far. And again, I've just used the file. Obviously, eventually I'll have to put this in the mill to drill holes for the bolts that hold the upper and lower planks together. Here's the lower one. I haven't done anything to this one at all. I'm going to follow the same process. A good stopping point with the first trucks. I've filed, got my files out using the course files on the spring plank and the bolster, and got a little 1/4 inch spacer in there, and this is how they fit. If I had two hands, if I had Russ's camera out here with me, I could set up the tripod and show you, but there's a little bit of movement, a little bit of flexibility here, so you don't want things to be super tight. You want to be able to twist and so forth. So that's looking good right there. Stop, and really stoked about how this looks, and I'm going to keep working on the filing. I'll do the other set over there. I haven't attacked those yet, but really enjoying this process. It's kind of fun and relaxing. You can see a little bit of the aluminum filing dust there. Come out here on a cold night, turn on the space heater, and got a nice cup of warm tea there, and just go to town and have a little fun making a little bit of progress on the trucks. Here's a little intermediate shot with the, I just want to show the lines that I mark out with the distance that needs to be removed, and I file it down using the large course file and then the small one. As you can see, there's a second line there too, which is kind of the maximum distance I may have to go. So I'll do this on either side just to point it out. I took off 50 thou first off of either side, and that's the mark that I filed to. And so on the flip side, there's two marks that you would see. So I'm going to turn it over and file down just exactly the same, like mirror image on the other side of this one. Then I'll test fit it in the frames, the side frames. I've already filed the roughness off the inside spaces of those. So I'll do a little test fit and knock it off for tonight. Once I finish that, then come back tomorrow and I can file down this portion here to make it fit inside the side frames. I'll show you that when we get there. And here's the second truck top bolster. It's been filed into the proper dimensions on both sides. You can see it. Let's try to show you cleaned up, and just a fun night. Just put it in the little vise like that and file it and measure it and check it, and it's all good. I just need to clamp it down and then clean up these areas here. Let me show you how it fits inside. I can do this one-handed. I left Russ's camera out in the house again, so bear with me. There we go. Come on. Hang on a second. I'm going to cut this off. I'll get it ready and show you. Hang on. Okay, there we go. So you can see, I mean, it's a nice fit. Really is not a lot of work to get those things cleaned up and get them to the proper dimension and fit. And it's kind of fun relaxing on a cold evening out here. Got my warm cup of tea, got some files, got an old movie on the TV, and I can just file away and have fun. So now I'll just take it and clamp it down here and clean up these areas, and we'll be all done with this one. Hey, I'm back at it out here working on the frames, and let me show you. This is where I left off last night. This is the second set, and as you can see, I've got a little piece of 1/4 inch brass stuck in the middle, kind of taking the place of the spacers, and it's kind of nice because you can get a feel for what the assembly is going to look like. And the next thing to do with these is to drill the holes. So there's holes that go down vertically through the buttons, if you will, and there's a large center hole that has to go in there as well, and obviously it goes through the bottom plank as well, the spring plank. And so here's an overview of the whole assembly. So, and there's the ones that go through the buttons. There's a rod, that a pin that goes through, and there's a cotter pin on the bottom. So it's important to have the alignment of the holes exact. And if you noticed when I was working on them, the little planks, the cast aluminum, they're a little bit bendy. So what I have in mind, and I realize this could be overkill, but if you watch my projects, I like to take things at a very methodical level. So I've got some 1/4 inch thick aluminum, just some scraps I had left over, and what I've done here is marked off, this is the width of the spring plank and the length between the pieces. So what I'm going to do is cut this out in the bandsaw. I'll cut out 2 of them, and then I can crazy glue them inside, and then I'll be able to use the assembly. I'll be able to drill the holes with this like as one solid piece, if that makes sense. So that way the holes will stay lined up like they need to be. Alright, I just finished cutting and sanding the spacers. It's 1/4 inch aluminum in the middle there. It gives you a good idea about what how the trucks will kind of work. That I want to show you a little bit of flexibility. That's what you need, and it'll with the side frames on the spring plank and the bolster. The actual spacers that I'll make out of steel will be slightly thicker than this. They'll be 0.275 inches, but I think this will be satisfactory for creating a solid unit that I can machine. Let me show you the other one as well. This is the opposite side, so you can see a little bit of movement. You want a little bit of flex, and I can always sand a little bit down or file a little bit more off if we need to, but you want to have a little bit of movement in the frames there, so they can move up and down as the riding car does. But really excited about this. To describe this further, why I did this, I'm going to have to drill holes in the tabs here for the hangers, and I got to thinking about it. Just this flimsy little top plank. I say flimsy. It seemed kind of flimsy when I was filing it to shape. So having something sturdy like this that I can clamp and put in the mill vise, I just like that idea. And not to mention having it all clamped together, glued and clamped together for drilling the 3 holes that got to go through the top there. So I can get that done. I can lay this all out tonight and just let it be. Then tomorrow I can drill the holes and in the proper spots and have some fun on the lathe making the spacers and the pins, and we'll have made a little bit of progress on the trucks. Thanks. And thanks again, Russ, for your camera. If y'all notice, you got the camera set up on the tripod, and hopefully it looks like the video quality is fantastic. I'm sure the audio quality is a lot better than my iPhone, so I do appreciate it, Russ. It's pretty awesome. Thank you. Alright, so here we got the packs all glued together and clamped. I'll just let them set overnight, and then tomorrow I can commence to drilling them just like I need to. And it's going to be nice, and you can see how much sturdier that will be to set it in the mill vise to drill the holes in the little ears there. So, and it's, for those of you that aren't aware, it's easy to take this stuff apart once you're done. I just use a heat gun to unstick the super glue. This is the kind of super glue I use. So now I can put these aside and plan for making the pins and the spacers. I'll bring you back for that. Okay, getting ready to machine the little spring planks, and basically not much machining involved, but to drill the center hole for both of them, and then the holes in the little buttons, if you will. I did notice one thing in laying these out, that the right hand side, the called for distance of 1 3/4 inches was perfect. It hit right in the center of the little button. The left hand side, 1 3/4 inches, came out closer to the edge, which is not a huge deal, but what I'm going to do is move that over, make that 1 inch, 1.725, so I can hit closer to the center of the button. It was off on both of them, so not sure exactly what that tells us, but decided to go with that anyway. And I did double check the center measurements here, so like I said, it's kind of odd. I've also drawn out for making the little pins that go down through the 4 of them and the 4 spacers. One other thing that, let me just show you this real quick. The drawings call for some unusual dimensions, if you will, like 3/8 and 5/16 inch holes in the spring planks. The pin, the king pin, if you will, the part that goes through the spring plank, the width of it is 5/16 of an inch. It's at its widest. This 1/2 inch part rests on top here, so I don't really know why they call for making the hole 3/8 of an inch. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially the bottom portion, which is just going to go through the bottom plank. The pin gets tapered down to a 1/4 inch. So bottom line, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make the hole 5/16 of an inch, and we'll just see how that goes. If I need to enlarge it, obviously I can at some point, but we'll just go with 5/16 inch holes for that. And also I laid out on the ears where the holes will go for the hangers. So got all that to do, and I'm not going to bore you with showing the machining of it, but I do want to show the layout since it's interesting. Okay, that worked out good for the first one. As you can see the holes there. Glad I came up with that idea about gluing the planks together. Now the second one. Here's a big reason that I wanted to go ahead and glue all these planks together, because I know this setup looks pretty sketchy, but drilling these little holes for the spring hangers, it's not fixing, there we go. Anyway, I've got a support in the back here, and basically just the nub, and I've made sure it was vertical with the little scale there, but it worked out fine. Very delicate. This is kind of one of those weird setups that hard to find the perfect way to do it, but that's why I wanted the rigidity of having the sandwich of 3 together, all glued together, and being able to clamp them firmly, because it's not wiggly at all, especially just with a small drill that we use. In case anybody was wondering if my automatic feed is still working, yes it is. And if you're wondering why that was such a big deal to me, I have to make 4 of these pins like this, and it sure is handy to have the automatic feed feature, not to mention the nice finish you get. Hey folks, I'm going to make this the last segment of this week's installment. I'm pretty pleased with the progress so far, although I wish I was a lot farther along. We had an unexpected snowstorm here, which is very unusual, and a lot of cold weather. So it's about 30 degrees in the workshop right now, and I'm not going to stay out here very long. So please ask any questions that you might have. I did want to point out that a lot of the segments, the test fit segments that I have in this video, I have the side castings inverted, but this is the way they're supposed to look, with the little ledge at the top, if you will. So anyway, ask any questions that you might have. If you don't have questions but you want to encourage me, please give me a thumbs up. I do enjoy that, and I'll look forward to updating you as soon as I can when I've made a little bit more progress. Thanks again, everybody. I appreciate it.